gentle. We'll try not to screw things up. And we have the pleasure of having a couple of guests to talk with us too.
She's Pamela. I'm Tim.
I didn't do the usual part.
So when we screw things up, not be gentle if we screw things up.
What?
When we screw things up, that's how that's going to go.
So our guests, we've had the privilege of talking to them before, and so we're looking forward to talking to them again. And they are some of the backcountry people that we've met in real life too.
And we don't have a green room, so they have to log in and stuff, and we'll see how this plays out.
And so, are we going to keep them in suspense till they arrive, or shall
Yeah.
we? Oh, all right.
Yeah, see their beautiful
Okay.
faces, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So it's going to be, you're just going to have to hang around for a few minutes
guess
to
so, yeah.
find out. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat,
Yep.
and we can fire them at our guests.
Here they come. Here they
There.
come.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, pals.
Oh.
Good evening. How are you two doing?
Just ducky fine. We're
Yeah.
just back from a few days at camp, so how could we be bad?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Awesome. Well, you said you were specifically coming back just to talk to us.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd just move out there.
I can see the allure. What question? What do you guys? You said it's off grid, so what do you do for heat, for lighting, for keeping things cold, all that sort of jazz?
Oh, well, so there's a wood stove that was brought in from Jay's grandfather and grandmother, and it's been there for 40 years or more.
I helped bring that wood stove in. P.S. When I was about 8, so you can imagine how much help I was.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't have any issue with heat up there. It's perfect. And we used to have a Coleman lantern, but we just this year I think is the first year we got some solar lights, like Edison bulbs that you can plug into a power charger. So we have lights now.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wondered if you'd stepped up to something solar, just cuts.
Yeah. No, we there's no electricity or anything like that, so we just bring a little power banks up and do it that way. But our the camp was built back in the mid 60s by my grandfather, and it's just a little 12 by 16 shack, really. It's a one room shack. So it's super simple, which is how we like it, which is why we don't do hot tenting in the winter, because we just go there.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how remote is this place?
It's relatively remote. The nearest neighbor is about 2 miles away as the crow flies, but they're much more rarely than we are. And then the next nearest neighbor is about 25 miles away or so. So it's there's nothing.
That
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, you have to hike the last bit in, like the last couple of kilometers. There's no road access or anything like that.
It's old logging road.
That gets you within
Part way.
within a
Yeah.
couple of kilometers, and then you have to do the rest.
Then you hike or snowshoe if you're in the winter, right?
You got it. Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
It's probably
Yeah.
not maintained in the winter either, so we have to.
No.
No, yeah. So it's we go from the highway, which is probably about a 5K hike, like our parents used to do to school, uphill through 6 feet of
Yeah, oh,
snow, all that.
Yeah, and the weather was really mild this weekend, so it was a hard slog up there. It was super mild right now up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we hit 10 degrees or something silly like that down here, and boatloads of rain, which literally just finished, 6 hours ago.
Yeah, there's no snow anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was nice
gross.
white for a bit, but not anymore.
We had the same. So we're situated where we live is in Sault Ste. Marie, which is at the heart of the Great Lakes there, and we got dumped on for a few like weeks. So we had over like 5 feet of snow standing, and over almost 7 feet of accumulation, like just sort of over the time. And now when we just got back, there's maybe 2 feet out there. It's just been raining and so not Christmassy.
But we
Yeah.
woke up this morning at camp to fresh snowfall, so that was nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Well, and how long does it take you to hike in or out?
So
Out
the
would be faster, less food.
well, that and it's downhill. Like I wasn't joking. It's like up a steep grade the whole way to get there. It takes about an hour and a bit to hike in, and yeah, probably about 40 something, 45 to get out, depending on the pace and if there is a wild animal chasing you.
Note to self.
Yeah, it's not bear season right now, so any of the wild animals out there we could basically take, except for maybe a bull moose in the rut, but we haven't seen one of those on the trail yet.
No.
That's a good thing. That's a good
I, it's something we avoid for sure if we can help it.
And it's a beautiful hike in, so we take our time and look around and look for animal tracks and
Yeah.
listen for birds.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're
So
total
bear
dorks
season.
there.
What happens at bear season?
Well, bear season, you take a little bit more care with being noisier when you go up and stuff. And, we see lots of sign. And I mean, I've even posted videos of bear and that last year on our Instagram account. That was a bear that was on the shore of one of the lakes that our camp is situated on. And he and I they and I just shared some time together. Respectfully, I was luckily in a canoe, so the distance was a little bit greater than if we were on a trail together. So yeah, any bear that I've ever run into in the wild appropriately takes immediate action away from us, evasive action, which is great. We've been fortunate that way.
Yeah, well, we've not had any problems per se. I would say we've spent more time with bears in front country camps than we have in back country because they're in there rooting around in the garbages or fireplaces or whatever. So,
Sure.
Yeah, they get used to people.
yep. Yeah.
Yeah, you get habituated, and it's
Exactly.
like going to the dump. You want to see a bear and some bald eagles. The Sault Ste. Marie
Yeah.
municipal landfill is full of the darn things. It's just not as magical.
It is that. It is that.
It's not as
So
majestic. Yeah.
what have you guys been up to? What kind of tripping did you do this summer?
Oh man. So it's funny. I was thinking Cher and I were up at camp going like, so what trips did we do this year? Because we're just looking at things that we've done and things we want to do next year. And as far as the internet is concerned, we haven't talked to you since before we left for the Steel River.
Right.
So my goodness. So this past year has been a doozy. So we started in this early spring. Basically, there was still snow inside the forest, and we did the Toab Trail hike, which is on the Agawa River, which is an absolutely majestic, and especially in this early in spring with all the runoff, the falls are just so powerful and amazing. So we did that, was our first one. And then I actually have a list.
It was hard work too. I trained for that one. I trained for that.
We trained for it, and then we realized we hadn't trained hard enough. It turned out. And
How
then
did you train?
Just weightlifting, and we have a street a few blocks down that has stairs that goes up to a higher level street. So I would run those.
yeah, we legit like through the winter time, we still stay active as much as we can, but it's easy to sort of atrophy a little bit those hiking muscles, no matter if we do weight training and stuff like that. So Cher was wise and did a lot of that. But again, it's real world versus
Yeah, it's not the same as climbing over tree stumps and rocks.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. So.
exactly.
Yep.
And then so the next one we did was the Mississauga River, which was our sort of magnum opus in terms of trips. I'd probably been planning it since I was 10, but just because it's a river that's close to my heart. But Cher and I paddle it every year, little sections of it. And this year we went right from the very, very headwaters, 320 kilometers all the way down to Lake Huron at its terminus. And it was,
Amazing trip.
yeah, lifetime trip. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah, every day was so different, and it was so interesting to see the landscape changing just in that short distance. Yeah, nice trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
320 kilometers. How long was that? Like time wise,
days,
how many days?
It took us, so our guide, our shuttle driver, Mike Allen from, used to be Kego's Camp. He used to drive people, and he still does, shuttle people to and from like put-ins and stuff. He was like, when I was talking to him about it, he was saying, well, you got to budget at least 2 weeks for this. And I was like, well, Mike, we have 10 days. And he said, well, do you have a satellite device? You can reach me and I can pick you up wherever you are on the trail. I said, yeah, we're good. So it took us 7.5 days.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
So
guys are speedy.
I guess. So one day we did over 60 kilometers, and that was we didn't mean to, but we just couldn't find a suitable campsite, and we just really pushed, and we had great weather, and yeah.
And is that all paddling the 60 kilometers, or that was a mix
No,
of?
no, there's portaging there. Yeah, there's some portages there. Nothing of any great size, but yeah, there's definitely some portaging there. So one of them, actually, the hardest one, is the one around the Aubrey Falls Dam that flummoxed us a little bit, and we got a little bit confused with some just random human trails through the forest. So that took us a couple of hours to do, and we were just exhausted after
To
that.
mix up with the portage, just regular
Yeah.
now, of course.
Yeah, they didn't have it marked really well, and there's a lot of people trails in there, and we ended up in the parking lot, so we had to backtrack and finally found our way in. And it was super hot that day, so it really takes a lot of your energy when you're doing a lot of extra walking around with the packs and canoes on your head. But
Yeah, which, as you can imagine, we took in stride with a grain of salt, and we were quite easy to get along with during that time.
yeah, and we had wonderful weather. Actually, it was so nice. I had to cover my ears after like day 2 or 3 because my ears were so sunburnt from riding in the canoe.
Yeah, so a lot of people do that river from sort of Spanish Lake area, which is up near Ramsey, Biscatacing area. A lot of people do that from there down to Aubrey Falls because that's mostly undammed, right? The dams start around Aubrey Falls or just north of that. And then most people kind of like leave the section from Aubrey down to Lake Huron, which I think is a mistake. That section, we do the section from Aubrey Falls down to a place called Pigpen Chutes every year. It's a nice, easy, like 25K paddle, but it goes through what they call the 45 or 40 mile rapid, which is basically almost continuous rapids. And it's just so fun if you're at the right water level. It can be a little bump and grindy if you're not, but yeah, for those of you who are considering doing the Mississauga, it doesn't end at Aubrey Falls. It gets just as beautiful and wonderful lower than that.
Yeah.
So in order for to be the good water levels, what time of year is best to do that?
So it is dam controlled downstream of basically Aubrey Falls. And so it fluctuates regardless, but certainly in spring, they actually allow the one holding, oh my gosh, the headwater lake. I think they go the head lake. My gosh, I don't know much about hydroelectric power dams, but what we did learn from our guide Mike is mostly gone, but they drain it completely, so the river remains high for some time. So springtime is, as usual, just a really good time to run those rapids.
Yeah, early June. Early June, we love the weather.
Late May, early June. You're going to get some mosquitoes and black flies, but we're Ontarians. We're a hardy people.
Well, and so do you guys do much white water? Like, do you do rapids and?
Well, so funny you should ask, Pamela. We've run into some whitewater, like just class 1, class 2. I'm super nervous of like fast water. So we took a whitewater class last year at the Paddlers Co-op. And so I think the trip right after this Mississauga trip was the Little White River.
Yeah.
And it had lots of whitewater, and we just had a blast. So we're getting stronger. We're doing a little bit more and gaining skill and enjoying it. It's better than portaging, let me tell you.
Which I don't like people maligning portages. Sometimes it's nice to switch it up, but yeah, we actively seek out whitewater trips these days. We've got a nice Royal X bolt made of basically like a material you could, just about smash off most things and be okay, within reason. So yeah, there's plenty of whitewater on the Mississauga.
Yeah, and it opens up our options for tripping too, that we can get through a few of them unscathed.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, it's a matter of just that confidence, right? Like skills you come by practicing, but just having the confidence to actually just try it out, making sure that you're well equipped, you have the proper gear, you have the proper PFD, and if you need headgear, depending on what you're doing and stuff like that. Trying things out, making the mistake. You're just the worst, thing that's going to happen if you do things right is you're going to end up wet and maybe looking for gear if you don't tie it properly. So, just try it out. Start small. Start with like a single chute or a single rapid that maybe you've got people down river of you to be able to help you clean up the mess when you inevitably dump. And then, yeah, just keep building from there, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'd have to buy another canoe,
Uh-oh.
which would be terrible, I'm sure.
I think so, yeah. And then, so yeah, Cher said our next trip, and also in June, was the Little White River, which is just this tiny wee little small river. I think it's about 70 some odd kilometers that joins into the Mississauga. And that was the sleeper of the year for us, was the Little White River. Just that's north of Elliott Lake is where the headwaters are. You put in, and if you go in any later than like early June, it's basically you're just taking your canoe down a cheese grater. So don't do it. But in good water, you could see in our video there was just basically nonstop whitewater for a good long section where the stakes are pretty low. And then we almost went over the only real falls on the river backwards. So when the stakes were high, we dropped the ball a smidge there, but we were fine. We were safe.
We made it.
We made it.
Yeah. And the scenery up there was amazing too. Like
Crazy.
we saw rock walls that were so high. We were like, why have we not been here before?
Yep.
So
300-foot sheer cliffs right at the side of the river. And I think rivers like that, same with the Mississauga, the lower part, a lot of highway interaction there is, like where highways follow along, but it's not like there's a lot of traffic on these highways, and the scenery is just amazing. And for us, it's close to home,
Yeah.
so it's a no-brainer.
yeah.
Well, so you didn't go over backwards over the
We did not. We went down a small shelf backwards that was several meters from the precipice of the falls.
Forward is for rookies. Come on.
Yeah, right? This is the next challenge. That's right, Pamela. Good one.
It happens.
Yeah, and then also this year, Sherry did her first solo canoe trip.
Yeah, we did a small loop at Fenton Treeby, which is in Lake Superior Provincial Park, and we went in with separate canoes in separate directions, and I camped and portaged and set up all of things on my own, and had a great time. Just to make sure I could do it in case I need to get us out of a situation. I wanted to do a trip on my own, and Jay went the opposite way. I think he had more stress worrying about me being on my own than I did. But then we met up on night 2. And this is a park that we've camped at multiple times, so it's kind of like an old friend. So we had a fun night on night 2. It turned out that also camping on the island was a baby woodpecker and his parents. So that was interesting.
Not camping, but living, growing up.
Yep.
So a black-backed woodpecker. This is
Yeah.
something I didn't even know we didn't know existed in Northern Ontario, but black-backed woodpeckers, turns out when they are fledging and their parents are still bringing them their food, but they're like almost the same size as their parents and they're just as loud, they are incessant in their calls for their food. They're just basically, I think, saying to their parents, like, I'm still vital, I'm still worthy of hunting for food, please bring me more food. And it was something else, I'll tell you.
It was fun.
It was great. now that we're looking back on it,
Yeah.
and we've recovered from the lack of sleep, we feel fortunate.
Hindsight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Hindsight always being it, right when the pain of certain things is in the rearview mirror.
That's like, yeah, it's like that portage wasn't that bad, but we're a year removed from having
This is
done
it.
that portage. At the time that I was doing that portage, I was using a lot of bad words.
Exactly. You probably made up a few of them.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Type 2
bad.
fun, isn't that what they call it?
That's what they call it.
that's what they call it.
I
Yeah.
remember somebody told me I was a type 2 person at one point, and I went, no, I'm not, because I actually am doing the shit that I do. So,
Ah,
But I do it, and
but I
I'm
do it because I'm
stronger
an
for
idiot.
it. I'm stronger for it.
Yeah,
Probably
that's
better
it.
looking, Tim. I
Yeah.
think you're better looking from it as well.
Oh, wow, thanks. You get a gold star, sweetie.
There you go. Yeah. What about you guys? Did you get out much this year?
The big kid and I got out to an 8-day in Killarney. It's a bit of a mixed thing. I mean, Killarney's fabulous. You can't go wrong. Was a sort of the first time we've done it with other folks, and it didn't entirely play out as well as we
It
hoped.
wasn't me.
It wasn't the young lady.
Okay.
But still, 8 days out in the wilderness, I'm good.
Oh, great. So
then-
whereabouts in Killarney did you?
So we went in the last access point before you hit the main campground, like George Lake. So
Okay.
Carlisle Terry, I think it's Carlisle's the access point.
Okay.
We went in, we stayed one night at the like you literally you paddle for 15 minutes and you're at your campsite, which is good because as you know how those long distances can eat up so much time driving.
Sure.
For us from here, it's about the Google lady tells me it's 4 hours. It's way closer to 5.5 hours because that last highway in to the access point is brutal.
Okay. It's a pretty rough road still.
Yeah. They fill the potholes every other year, but surprisingly new ones pop up. It's like they're breeding. So yeah, fairly easy in there. Then there's I can't remember. I want to say it's an 8 and change 100-meter. Not the funnest portage ever, and then into Kaka Keys, which is a pretty long lake. If you paddle to the far end of it, you can get out and meet the hike up to the crack.
Okay.
up
The
high up
crack is
there.
over there.
So
All right. Yeah.
we hung out for a couple of days in there. Ran into the most overwhelming rainstorm I've ever been in a canoe in. I couldn't bail fast enough. It was filling
wow.
faster than I could bail. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was pretty wild. I would say we probably had. It was very slow waddling with it after because we ended up going to an island, bailing out, trying to pull everything in close, get some coverage. It felt like we were paddling with an extra 100 pounds when we got back out, and it's like I go for about 4 strokes, throw out 4 buckets of water, go for 4 strokes,
Crazy.
pretty wild. But I will never forget that, and I will bail earlier and try to get undercover as opposed to no, we can get through this. It'll be
Sounds
fine.
like type 2 fun to me, Tim.
No, idiot.
Yeah, sounds like type 2, buddy. It's all about framing.
Long as
That's
you're
exactly
learning,
it.
learn and grow.
Yeah, and
did
then
a-
we worked our way around to we came out, so we parked one car at the access point, and we parked another one over in George Lake. So we worked our way around the crack
Okay.
rock and over to George Lakes, hung out there for the final night and out.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was
So,
good.
but how did you manage? So those sound like pretty popular spots. As far as I know, we don't know Killarney too much. But were you just basically doing the lottery thing 5 months in advance, like just booking those sites or what?
Yes-ish. Thomas and I have done a not dissimilar sort of loop, an in and an out. So I kind of knew where I wanted to go. And yeah, I would just hammering away at, 7:01, whatever, that the end of January. Just come on, come
Yeah,
on, come on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's enough sites. It depends on what lakes. Like Norway Lake, it's a bit tough. It's only got 3 sites on it, so you probably won't get the site you want. But it's far enough in that it certainly keeps the newbies from trekking through. Most of it's not hardcore, but they're usually seasoned people that you trip across.
Sure.
So the volume's a little bit lower for that. By the time we got to George Lake, that was a tough one. I think I actually had to add that day in later down the road when it a month after, if somebody had canceled theirs or
Ah.
whatever, and then I added it in. But other than that, it works. I mean, it's the same. Certainly for all of us that camp in provincial parks, it doesn't matter. Farther north, like up towards you, not as bad. But anything 4 or 5 hours from Toronto,
Yeah,
or you're joining up to look for cancellations
yeah,
that
yeah.
happened 2 months before or whatever like that, and you've got to have your bosses flexible with you suddenly, jumping in a canoe and bugging on.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Similarly, to that point, we did our very first foray into Algonquin this year.
Yeah,
Which-
I remember
which
you
we've
said you
never
were going to
done.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, and it was great.
We made it.
We made it. We did, and we loved it. We loved. It was relatively quiet in terms of traffic. It was the end of September,
Yeah.
so it was relatively quiet in terms of traffic. We were on a lake. We just had a base camp lake on a lake called Pishneka, and it's only got 2 campsites on it on opposite ends of this little lake. So we had a really quiet weekend. We did a big sort of loop around into North T and then north of North T, and then a bunch of stuff as just a day trip cutting around, and it was great. We loved the 10-meter wide portages and stuff like that. We're like, oh my god, this is great. Like
There are some very much super highway type portages
Yeah,
in
well,
Algonquin. Yeah.
okay, all right, I could see they almost paved this one for us, honey. Let's do it.
They were still tough. We were pleasantly surprised at the the different landscapes around, and I think it was hemlock trees.
Yeah,
We were
beautiful
amazed
hemlocks.
by like a huge old growth forest of hemlock trees on the one lake. So yeah, I think we would go back.
Yeah, there's something cool about most of our tripping is done in like mixed forest and some even in boreal, sort of borderline boreal. So we don't see trees like when we did another trip we did this year was a hike of the Lacloche Mountain Range from Willisville over to Sagmuck First Nation or Fort Lacloche. And it's about 40 kilometers, they say, but that's like linear. It's more like 60 kilometers
Yeah.
if you
Oh, yeah.
include that. So we're not hikers, we're canoeists. And this was confirmed heavy duty when we did this trip, which was in October, no, mid-September.
Yeah,
Mid-September.
mid-September.
But we saw in the forest, like obviously the mountainous views over Huron and the North Shore and stuff like that, and Manitoulin Island are beautiful. But I think what's unsung about this, what we thought was these towering hemlock trees that we never get, and beautiful beech trees, gorgeous towering beech trees, which we never see in Algoma. Like there might be 3 beech trees in Algoma and 4 hemlocks.
Yeah, that was a nice trip. The weather was a little tougher for us, but once we got through the woods, which we thoroughly enjoyed, and got to like the rock outcrops looking over, which were beautiful. The limestone,
Quartzite.
sorry, rocks. I think it's just west of Killarney, the Lacloche.
Yes.
Well, the Cloche goes from where we basically ended all the way into Killarney and then further. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had, I think, a 2-night trip planned, and it didn't turn out to be 2 nights. So
No, we had a 1-night trip planned that didn't turn
Okay.
out to be 2 nights. So yes, if you watch the video, you can see like, our reverie and all of our youthful exuberance for this this hike because it's so beautiful, and there it is challenging, and we were just seeing all the sights and whatever. And then it got to a point where you have to hike down all the way down to Lake Huron, which is about a 150, 160 meter basically descent down to Lake Huron. And then you get this beautiful view. And the sun is setting now over Huron. We have to hike right back up that darn thing, different trail, but same idea. And then up another mountain peak and then down before we're out. And we're looking at each other. We're like,
Yeah. It was tough.
so we actually had to spend a second night. We actually got stuck it was basically pitch dark on the top of the last rocky knoll of the trail, this last one of the higher peaks of this whole range. And we got stuck on it it was pitch black. We were looking down to see if we could find the trail to get out, and we couldn't see. So we set up our tent, and then the skies opened up. So
Oh,
for
cool.
about 6 hours, it
Yeah.
was the
Oh,
most
yeah.
intense lightning storm we'd ever been a part of in a tent on a mountaintop.
On top of a mountain. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get any footage of it because all our batteries had died. So you're just gonna have to take our word for it.
I
But it's
and
always
no
like,
pucker factor at all, I'm sure.
oh geez. Well, our tent actually, we're kind of new. We have a Durston tent, and we're kind of new to this like hyper ultralight tenting, where like the stakes you have to like. Right on, Jerry. We'll do the hike again now that we're months from it. I'm like, yeah, I remember that fondly, but then get me back out there, and it's going to be something else. But so we're staking out these things on a rock top. You can't like put them into the ground, and we're just not using rocks that are big enough. And so the winds would pick up, and literally 3 times that night the tent collapsed on us. So here is me, dead tired. Cher's fast asleep. It was like, I don't care. I'll sleep like this.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
good.
care. She's like, fine. So I'm getting up, just in my underwear, just like taking these stakes and putting them back in, adding rocks to them. And there's lightning. And it was a scene. But again, you're just going to have to take my word for it because we didn't film any of it.
And the tent pegs create sparks
Yeah.
on the quartz rock. So when they start moving, there's just sparks everywhere. We
Yeah.
were like, what is happening?
Yeah, so that added an extra element, extra pyrotechnic element. It was great.
Excitement, never dull moment.
Highly suggest doing that, but do it as a 2-night hike.
Not as a one. Copy
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. No, not this.
Yeah, 40K was already obviously pretty ambitious, but then when we realized it was hilarious. Like, it's beautiful, and I think people do this on purpose. But again, canoeists, when you're doing portages, they are like a nostogan, right? So it's started probably as an animal trail, and then human beings took that trail for years and years to get between certain waterways and stuff. So it's not quite the path of least resistance, but that makes the most sense,
Yeah.
right? Whereas hiking trails that were built in the 1990s, which this one was apparently, they just go, hey, here's another vista, here's another lookout, here's another lookout. So you literally climb every rocky knoll, and then you climb down it, and then you go to the next one, and then climb up,
Climb up.
100 feet, and then climb back down. And so we were like, this is not a portage.
No, and if you try to not follow the trail, you will get lost. And we did actually download All
Trails.
Trails app
Yeah.
for this hike, which thank goodness, because it actually let us know when we went the wrong trail. Like it would say you need to turn around, which was phenomenal. We were so grateful for that. So if you're ever backpacking, the All Trails app really helped us out on that hike.
Like the GPS lady saying, recalculating.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Like, it was hilarious. My phone is always on airplane mode, but I happen to have my notification like bells on, and we had the app just to kind of track our distances and stuff. And it beeped, and so I looked. I'm like, my phone never beeps. What the heck's going on? And they were like, oh, you seem to have gone a couple hundred meters off trail. Is this what you wanted? And it was because it was like, I was later told by someone who knows the place a bit better that it's a more traveled trail that goes just to like a whole other place that's not the trail we were doing, and that's just to get up to the Mount Ararat lookout. Whereas the actual trail, it's not signed very well. There's no sign actually. It's just 2 trails split, and the highway goes this way, and our trail goes that way. So yeah, be more. The moral of this story is be better prepared.
Yeah. We were glad to have that up.
Yeah.
Question about gear. Just it's the Cool Quest kids are in the chat. They
Heels.
so they have some like wicked custom backpack that's designed for hiking, so super light, lots of pockets, all that sort of jazz. Being canoeists, I know that we travel heavier. What adjustments did you guys make to try to be more carrying crap on your back for 40 kilometers friendly?
The answer is not enough. We didn't make enough adjustments.
I am still working on lowering my pack weight. I have talked to somebody about getting a custom lightweight pack, but it has to be able to stand up to our canoe trip. So I'm still working on that, and they are quite a bit more expensive. So they are an investment. It's going to be my investment, and it will go with my nice lightweight tent that I got this year.
Yeah, so someone put it, the Keels put chicken tramper. So chicken tramper gear we've been in touch with. We've got some,
We
a
have
couple
the
of items
water bottle holders on our packs now.
that hold much smaller water bottles. We're used to bringing like full liter size.
No, I ordered the wrong size.
Well, but it's working out. It's okay because we're used to carrying a full liter of water, which you don't usually need to do as long as you're planning well. For us canoeists, you're always a couple of kilometers from water. But we've found on this hike that you can be several kilometers, you can be several hours from water on a mountainous hike. So bringing the small water bottle with, we recently picked up, to your question, Tim, a neat little thing by Catadine that's been around for years and years, but they're Be Free. So where it's like a flexible 1 liter
It has a filter
reservoir,
built right in,
and the
so you
filter is
just
built into the
squeeze
mouthpiece.
water.
So you just scoop up water and then filter it through, and we learned that that's really helpful if you're always within reach of water. Otherwise, you can go through 600 milliliters of water, which is what or 400 of water in each of our canteens, relatively quick on a sunny day on mountains.
Yeah, backpacking is a whole different
Yeah.
beast compared to canoe tripping.
It
Well, yeah,
turns out,
you'd have to your brain. You'd have to because like the things like we're way closer to water, or you're gonna tromp through a small stream or whatever along the way, something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it turns out it's a whole other beast altogether.
I'm working on it, Tim.
she's gonna figure that out. I'm still honing. I'm nailing the canoeing thing. She's gonna do the hiking thing for us.
I still find though that the lighter I get my pack, the more things I think I can add into it. So it's kind of like
Oh, that's
I've
what
seen
it is,
that.
dude. That's what it is. So we this past year, this past spring, or like before even canoe season, we had won this contest and we won an Ostrom canoe pack, and which we were so stoked about. We were looking at buying one, and we ended up winning this thing, and it's 115 liters, and it's beautiful. We got to use it a bunch of times this year, but we were just in talks with Bill and Ann, and we're like, oh man, this is so comfortable. Is there anything like, can we use this as a hiking? And they're like, oh, we definitely suggest against it. It's a canoe pack, obviously a bit heavier because it's really well padded, all the fun stuff. I just used it this weekend to take 115 liters of gear up to our camp, uphill both ways, friends, as you might have heard earlier, with snowshoes on and wet snow. And it was glorious, but it was
Really?
full. And there was no need for it to have 115 liters of stuff.
I feel like it was mostly your camera gear. I mean, the camp has furniture, so
Yeah, the camp's already got furniture. Like we didn't need to bring a tent or chairs or sleeping. It's got sleeping bag there. So what was in there, Jay? One wonders. But anyway, it was full.
yeah, we're working on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I hear you. I mean, it's also, as you mentioned about the custom packs, they don't come cheap. We picked up our black diamond that we've had forever. Finally, just stopped shedding water, and I taped up the seams because I thought that was the problem. That was the only place water didn't come through when we went out. So I was
Oh,
like, yeah,
no.
okay. Yeah. So we picked up a Nemo.
Okay.
It weighs nothing, man. It was unbelievable, night and day. Just the poles for the Black Diamond, which was a backcountry tent. Just the poles are heavier than the entire tent.
Right.
Everything for the Nemo, but
Amazing.
I would say I paid maybe for something $500. So I don't think she knows this. For the Black Diamonds, years past, it was pushing $800 for the Nemo.
Sure.
For the
So,
tent?
Yeah. So like Dyneema and different lightweight materials have come down a fair bit in price. Sherry and I lucked into being able to go into a Mech when we were in London not that long ago, which we don't have way up here in the Great White North. So we were just like looking around, and like Nemo has these crazy Big Agnes,
Yeah.
like these super lightweight tents that are like within price range, like between $400 and $500. And I'm saying like if that's your big purchase, I think Mustang was saying earlier, and there you go, that, yeah. But like, was saying like just one or two pieces of gear a year, and it's, you can pick away at it,
Nickel and dime at it. Yeah.
nickel and dime it, or like 100 and 200 it, or whatever it is. And in a few years, you can have the gear that kind of gets you there. And like the Keels were saying, like, just like keep it simple and don't overstuff it. That's the key, is probably the idea for us anyway. We've noticed is whatever the pack size is, you can fit all the things in it and you can do it. You can do the trip. We did the Lake Superior Coastal Trail, which is, as the Keels can attest, is a challenging trail. We did that with two much smaller packs than what we did the trail for the La Cloche Trail in, and we did it with even heavier gear. So you're just going to put stuff in that you probably don't need, and it's usually camera gear and extra batteries. Yeah, but yeah, you're going to just make your pack the size it is and the weight you want to do, and then just you have to stay within that. There's no exceptions. So
But we do know to make sure we always have our first aid kit, always have our Zoleo, and always have our battery pack. We've learned.
yeah,
We're learning.
we've forgotten lots of things over the years. Like one time we got to, Cher probably doesn't want me to tell the paddle story. So I can't tell it. JK LOL. So we actually got all the way to
I already know the end of the story.
a place called Massey, Ontario, which is about 2.5 hours from our place. And we were going north of Massey about an hour and a half to start our trip. And we realized neither of us packed the paddles
On a canoe trip.
on a canoe trip. We have a canoe. We have all the things.
Gonna-
We
like
did
this.
not.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't have the paddles. So we actually had to keep driving and drove to Espanola to the Canadian Tire and bought these $10 paddles that we did this whole trip with. It's basically like plywood and lacquer. It was quite hilarious. But if you watch our Bark Lake loop from a couple of years back, that's us with paddles we bought that morning from Canadian Tire in the lovely burg of Espanola, because we forget things.
But also, so speaking of forgetting things, Jay did a solo trip this year in Temagami.
I'm glad you're bringing this up, dear.
You
Just
threw
this
me under the
year.
bus, babe.
It was just this August, I believe.
Yeah,
Peak,
July, August.
peak mosquito season.
Not peak mosquito season, but surprisingly more mosquitoes than you'd think there would be in Temagami.
Yeah. In August.
So I did this with her new Durston pack,
Tent.
tent, which weighs next to nothing, and it weighs even less if you don't bring the interior mesh with it. So you just tarp camp in the mosquitoes for 8 days, and so
Nice.
that was a challenge. So what had happened was, Cher went down to visit some family down in London. Is that what
Yeah,
happened?
so-
Oh no, not in London, but
So I bought this tent, which we are really enjoying. It's very lightweight, easy to set up. And I bought it for my solo trip in Fenton Trevi. And the only the only real time Jay ever saw me set it up or take it down was when he was editing that video. So he assumed,
I wasn't even there when she set it
yeah,
up.
so he assumed that it was all in one bag, but it separates out into two separate bags. So I was away with girlfriends out of town, and he was starting his camping trip, and he grabbed the tent bag, the one,
The big one that says
and
Durston on it.
yeah, so
Yeah, so that was fun. Anyway, it was fine. So I got to Wolf Lake in Temagami and realized that I had forgotten it. And I was like, should I push through? Yeah, I'm just going to push through. Like, people for tens of thousands of years have, camped in this area, or 10,000 years with less than what I've got. So, like, suck it up, Buttercup. So, and I look back on that now and I would do it again. But if you had asked me like day 4 or 5, if I should have turned around day 1, I might have had a different story for you.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, have you done more that last year or this past year, or are you planning next year? You said.
Oh yeah, we're doing tons. So these are all we've done, all trips that we've done last year. We also did the French River this year.
oh yeah.
So last October, our friend Cohen, Don Hewson, and us went and we planned this big trip. We're going to do the Old Voyager Loop on the French River for Thanksgiving, and it would be super fun. So he brought his dog Lexi, and we arrived at Hartley Bay, and it was 2 degrees and sideways 50-kilometer-an-hour sleet smashing you in the face, and so we paddled to the first campsite and basically just stayed put for a couple of days, and just decided, look, we'll just sit here. So this year we did a do-over,
We got a do-over.
and though the wind was quite heavy, we managed, and he brought his partner Jen with him. So we had a beautiful 3-day canoe trip on the Old Voyageur Loop of the French River, which was, it's so beautiful. I mean, never mind, there's a fair bit of boat traffic and there's a fair bit of cottages and stuff, even though it's a provincial park. Things get grandfathered in or whatever. But yeah, it is so worth it. It's just quintessential Lake Huron, Georgian Bay.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
right down to Georgian Bay for my birthday. It's so
And
nice.
it's-
It was
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. So that was a great trip. Sunshine the whole time, opposite of what we had the year before.
Yeah.
And I think that was our final trip of this year. So we were just talking about trips for next year, and we have a few ideas that we're hoping to do. We still have to nail down dates and work around other
Schedules and
yeah
things.
schedules and music.
Music, yeah.
Um,
So it's interesting because we've noticed that people don't talk about their trips, like, oh, where are you going? Oh, it's tight-lipped, right? Like, do you guys notice this? Like, if we even ask our friends, they'll tell us sometimes, but usually they're like, oh, well, it's very nebulous. I was thinking about somewhere in northwestern Ontario, until they do the trip, and then they'll spill the beans. But it's almost like, are you afraid I'm going to follow you there, dude? Like, but yeah, there's a few different rivers in the Algoma district that feed into Superior that are not as well traveled as they probably should be or could be. And so we have a few springtime whitewater trips planned. I'm being kind of nebulous there.
but local, like within
Local.
not
They're-
too far from home.
45-minute drive
Yeah.
to get to the mouth of the river, basically.
We're pretty blessed that way to have so many options open to us, like
Yeah.
right off Lake Superior.
Yeah. And there's a couple that we've been looking at. We like to do a couple trips a year that are completely off the beaten path. Like, you're not going to find it on a guidebook of any kind. You're not going to find it on a map like, oh, here's the put into this. So we've got a couple of those in the works as well, sort of up in the northeastern part of the Algoma area, sort of up Highway 129, that area towards Chapleau.
But
And
smaller, like probably like long
A few
weekend,
day
maybe
trips.
3-4 day trips.
Yeah.
And then I've never been to Puxaw, so we're hoping to get to Puxaw. We don't know if we're gonna do it backpacking or if we're gonna figure out a way to canoe around there. But I have never been that far, so we're looking at that. It's on our list.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
the plan. And then we always, every year we do a section of the Mississauga River. It is the sort of the most unsung, I think, river of sort of northern Ontario in terms of just like wonderful camping, great fishing, some white water, and super easy access depending where you put in takeout. So we do that every year, a little section of it because it's part of us. It's part of our heart. So you can bet we just aren't going to tell you when, so you can't follow us.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and then who knows? Like sometimes trips just come up. Sometimes things just come up. We have a couple of friends that have, said, "Hey, we should, go out for a trip this year." So we're totally looking at that as well. But the tough part is, it's not the tough part. Sharon and I, this time of year, right now, and at camp when we were there, we sort of plot out. Okay, this is when our camping trips are happening. Because for the most part, I'm a musician as well, like a touring musician. For the most part, I haven't like booked next year. Like some of the early stuff and a couple of things in the summer, we've booked for next year. But otherwise, I booked camping. We'll be there. Oh dear, the Keels are following us. I knew it. I knew it. Well, that's a good thing. That's all right. For the most part, what we do is we book all of our camping trips that are reasonable, and then I start booking music after that. And we book other stuff after that. Sherry does a lot of stuff as well. But yeah, camping comes first, friends, and I think that should hold true for everyone.
Yeah, and if we have any trips booked into parks, you have to book those 5 months in advance. So, and apparently French River now is doing
A
that. You
bunch
have
of them changed this year.
Yeah.
Kevin's most recent blog, he laid it all out. But yes, French has gone to the 5 month rule.
And you have to
Shoot.
book the site, so that's tricky. Like having just been down there, sometimes you don't know if you're going to get to your site. Like that wind is pretty tough coming up
Yeah.
from Georgian Bay.
Georgian
Conditions
Bay,
may prohibit
absolutely.
that,
Yep.
right? So we
So
just
hopefully it works out. Hopefully everybody plays, nice and
the
helps
same
everybody
box.
out in that manner.
because French River you would book by region. They have
Yeah,
like 6 or
zones.
7 zones, and you just okay, I'm going to be in this zone, and I'll find the site. But it's interesting. Like we did that, and then they said that they were now you have to book the site, and I'm like,
Yep.
I don't think everybody who's in that area is going to really care about that. So you're going to get to the site you booked, and then have an arm wrestle to determine who gets the best tent site on that site,
Yeah.
I guess, or whatever. But
I think it's going to be a bit of a crap show. This certainly the first
sure,
year of people down there doing that because nobody knows how to do that. You turn, you come out of Hartley Bay, you turn and you start heading south, and you're into a headwind. Okay, well that just cut my paddling distance in half before it's
yeah.
dark. So that I'm not making the site I was planning to make, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Could be
That's
interesting.
exactly. Well, this is when bureaucrats and money crunchers start trying to like regulate things that weren't broken to begin with. I don't know. That was my little soapbox. Sorry, I don't typically do
Yeah,
that.
no, I totally agree. Cohen has said the same about it. I don't think that anybody that's seasoned thinks that it's a smart move. It's something that's worked forever, and the fact that it was only 2 weeks that you had a window of made it not be booked 5 months out. Meant you got it. You had a chance to book that because nobody wants to plan that last little bit. Like I will plan, say August we're going to go to French River, but I'm not going to book it until late July. So that's fine. Like it's like
Because life changes too, right? But I think,
yeah,
along those same lines, I think we have to keep in mind that the people that are out there, for the most part, I mean, there's dorks everywhere in every walk of life, doing every sort of vocation and every sort of thing. Hey, Tyler, how's it going? But for the most part, I think the great vast majority are just going to be good people who are willing to work with you, who are like, hey, man, I know you're a little short of your campsite, but there's lots of room on our site. Please come here. We've got some food cooking. We got a fire started. I know it's pouring rain, but we got a tarp up. Come on in. So I'm not super worried about it. It's more annoying, I think, in the planning stages than it is, I think, hopefully, this is the optimist in me. I think it's just more annoying than it's going to be in real world on the ground on the riverbank. You know, we're not going to be fist fighting humans just to because they took our campsite because they didn't know what they were doing. It's going to be fine, too.
I hope so. I personally, prefer the 5 months I can live with. I liked the zone idea better. It's the same,
Yeah.
depending on where you're going. But in Algonquin,
Yeah.
you booked a lake, right?
Yeah.
So I know that even if we get a pouring rainstorm or whatever, we can do that portage, and I know how long the kid's going to be. Like I know what our pacing and stuff is. If it's a big lake and we run into a rainstorm, I might be hitting the second or third site, not the one at the far end of the lake that I wanted to start out from tomorrow.
I think Killarney, we had to book the site when we did
There-
Killarney
It is
last
now.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we booked the site for sure,
So
and a
they're
good thing because
changing,
it was
I guess.
it was busy. And yeah, in Algonquin this year we had to book the site.
No,
You didn't? We didn't book the site.
No,
Oh,
the
okay. Well, it'll
lake.
be next year.
we booked the
Maybe,
lake.
or maybe
Okay.
that's what's one of the
It's just
changes.
someone was there before us. We had our eye on a site. Turns out our site was better, anyways.
Oh yeah. I think there were like 100 red squirrels on our campsite.
Yeah, at least,
Algonquin Park.
at least.
Throwing-
It's great.
Throwing nuts down from the tree and
Oh,
Doing
my
everything,
more.
all manner. I
God.
think I've never I don't know how to speak red squirrel, but I'm sure there were a lot of cuss words in what they were saying to us.
So
We're
we
just
did-
like editing footage right now of that trip. And I'm
cutting all
like,
the
there's
bad
a
words out.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm like, I cannot include that in here. I gotta,
Somebody's gonna know what that squirrel's saying.
that was aggressive, dude. We're an inclusive YouTube channel.
We did a 3-day in the Massasauga this past fall, and same deal. It was crazy. It was like, what? I'm not even moving. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not touching your nuts.
Exactly. Maybe it's not all about us. Maybe they're just singing to be joyful to be alive. I don't know. But
No,
I'm
they were
thinking,
throwing nuts at us. I'm
there's
telling
not
you, like, it
enough.
was like bang, bang, bang.
yeah, dive bombing. We actually did have that.
In the French River, we had that.
It wasn't
happen.
nuts. It was white pine cones, which are quite big. Like white pine cones can be pretty and sharp, if I'm honest. So Cohen and us and Jen were like, this guy is like stationed right there because he knows we can't hit him with anything. And he's just dropping pine cones.
It was funny.
This is not for a good reason, you little bugger.
This is a fun game.
Yeah, this is a game. He's winning a bet is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Dorks. Yeah, so that's what we've got. And then who knows what's going to come up in terms of trips next year, but we try to keep it like our Ontario parks are so beautiful and park staff are so amazing, like to the number. Like we've never really run into any sort of issue that way, but we try to stay to like Crown Land and things like that because we're so blessed up this way with it. Like you'd be crazy to like go to just stick to all the provincial parks when we have so much amazing Crown Land within less than an hour drive of us. So
Yeah. When Jay did his Temagami trip, I know that even in I think it was August, early August, and it was quite busy. He found it quite busy.
yeah, I mean, so I started at Matagamacy Lake, which is a pretty well known. It's just east of Sudbury is the access road on Kukigami Lake Road. So, and I know a lot of local Siberians go there for the weekend because again, it's almost all Crown Land, but there's also a bunch of lodges, right? Because there's roads that lead to these lakes. And so we're just not used to that kind of traffic, right? So getting up to a place that's so majestic and so, sort of revered as a place like Wolf Lake. And there's people with, coolers. And this is the funniest thing is these people were partying their buns off and it was like fine, but they were at, a campsite just across the bay from me. And they had, just before they were going to bed, and I was just about to sleep because they had shut up for a few minutes, they lit off 3 bear bangers. Just like, I don't think it was celebration. I think they were like, this is how you keep bears away. And I'm like, no, dude, what you just did for the past 8 hours is how you keep bears away. And humans.
Well, I know I've told this story before, but Thomas and I did a did a trip through Canoe Lake, and a loop in and around through the Joes, Tom Thompson, Burnt Island Lake, and then back down through the Joes again.
Okay.
You were talking about the like the superhighway portages. You come
Right.
out of the north end of Canoe Lake, and it's like it's as wide as our apartment, and it's smooth. And you watch people go by with carts with a like a box of beer, 3 boxes of wine,
Yeah.
and I'm like, where are you going? This is the backcountry we're headed for. What are you doing?
Different kinds of camping, almost like front country camping, which is a beautiful thing too, as long as you're respectful and all that stuff. We go to Pancake Bay and Batchewana for front country camping because it's it's still a beautiful thing to just drive with your car and go to a place where you can carry all your gear. But it's like as long as you're respectful about it. But sometimes you think you're going to the backcountry and maybe others are like, no, dude, I'm bringing my motorcycle and we're having a time.
Yes, yeah, that's very much it. I don't.
So
Not-
what are you
Not
what
my
are you
style of
guys
backcountry.
doing? Like, so is this your first live stream?
This is our very first live stream. I've been trying to figure out why I chose to do this. I'm not 100%
Because
sure.
that was my next question.
I don't know. I
What are
thought,
the
you know what,
plans,
let's
Tim?
try it. Be fun. I think at least in part because some of my favorite live stream shows that I watch aren't as busy this year, or in some cases aren't even happening because they're busy doing their lives and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I have too much time on my hands is probably what the issue is.
Right. Yeah. So people who are busy always find time to do yet more things. I think that's the way it is.
It's kind of like the pack that if you take some stuff out, you make it lighter and smaller, you add more stuff in. So I think we do the same.
The more efficient you get at it, the more you take on. Yeah. That's such a great point. Well, so I mean, that's what my next question was like, is this going to be a regular thing or what are your
I don't know.
thoughts?
This
Stay
I'm-
tuned.
Stay tuned. ...
There you go.
We'll
Well,
be nebulous about
I'll go
it.
back and look at this and see how it played out. Honestly, the fact that I can't edit this,
There you go. No need to fret
See?
about editing.
it's a done thing. So
Oh, life got easy.
Nice.
possibly, it might.
Nice.
I may change to that idea instead. I don't know. I figured I'd just take a shot at it, see how it plays out.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the thing. It's such a commitment. Like Sherry and I are doing our best to like avoid the sort of weekly time specific commitments, whether and it's all good things, but it just can be such a it when you say yes to something, especially when you say something yes to something that's regular and sort of that you're counted on for, you're saying no to everything else at that time and leading up to it. And there's the preparation, and then there's the debrief, and there's the advertising and all that stuff. So I get it, but yeah, that's great. That's great. Just saying
Yeah.
hi to Puddle Jumper from Saskatchewan. Good to see you.
And
We're gonna watch. He's just put up a video that we're probably gonna watch after this live stream.
Oh, cool. Well, I haven't watched that channel, so I will have to go check that out.
Oh, check it out.
Oh yeah.
Like when you think Saskatchewan, you think rolling hills and fields of wheat, but this fellow goes north into the beautiful boreal forest.
Oh no, maybe I have watched this then.
You probably
I
have.
yeah.
And he's a wizard with map videography. Gonna hit you up for that too.
Oh, oh dear.
And Mustang, no, we've never done a live before. All the videos you see are podcasts that we record both audio and video for. I just don't edit much in the way of the video stuff. I'm busy with the other stuff.
Yeah. So on that note, Tim, you guys have done trips. I know I saw you and Thomas did a couple earlier this year, and then you were just mentioning this 8-day trip. Is there any plan for doing any videos of that, or there's no pressure again? And how much longer do you have to work a job? Can you just do this for us full time? Is
Yeah,
maybe my real question.
no.
No.
I'm
You're in
getting there.
Toronto. It's low cost
I'm
housing.
not quite there yet. Honestly, the 8-day trip was possibly the worst trip I've ever had. So I stopped filming about 30 seconds into it. I have I have tons. I have a 2 terabyte hard drive
Oh gosh.
chock full of videos
Okay.
of trips and pictures. I take pictures. I'm more of a stills guy, but I have tons of video and stuff. I'm lazy. I go back and look at it sometimes, but I think I did maybe 3 videos, like half of an Algonquin trip I did with the kid with Thomas, and stopped. So I published them and then went, yeah, I'll get around to the rest of it. Nope, that hasn't happened, and that's got to be 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know. I don't.
Well, you've got quite the backlog. This is maybe for the archive, because Pamela's doing her podcast or like her vlogs and stuff or blogs. It's pretty steady, so you've got someone to keep up with here, man.
We need to hire staff.
We need staff. We need staff.
You need to hire staff because the kids are aged out and they're like, yeah,
Aged out. We don't
pass.
do stuff for free anymore.
And
pass.
we never see them anyhow. So
Awesome. Yeah, what did you guys get up to through the holidays? Anything spectacular?
no, though we did see both kids briefly, so that was nice. That was a nice change.
That's a win.
Beautiful.
Take that as a win.
We'll take that as a win, and we'll eat a ridiculous amount of seafood tomorrow night, and potentially see the kids again. We'll see one of them for sure. The other one, I never know what he's doing. Yeah, little family, little overeating.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds
Yep.
great.
How about you guys? What did you do?
We have some family stuff through our, we have a common employer. And they're so gracious we got 2 weeks off this year, which is the first time ever that we've been off together for 2 weeks in a row. And so
We
last week,
should have had a camping trip planned.
we should have had a camping trip planned and we didn't. So we went to camp for a few days just recently, just got back tonight, which is always beautiful. And I don't know, we might go back again if winter hits again, but otherwise it's just relaxing. Tomorrow we have no plans for the new year. We just, for us, because our kiddos are gone as well. We're just like, we're not going to go out, but if someone's doing something cool, we just have people we want to be around. So we tell our people that we love, we're like, what are you doing? Let us know. We're going to probably do that because that's what it's about. So yeah,
Do you have camping resolutions for this year?
that's a great
Resolve to
question.
pack
Pamela.
lighter, resolve to more often.
Well, Sherry's
Yeah.
resolution is to pack lighter. My resolution is to camp more. No,
But yeah, no, you
That's
know what
just
it is, Pamela? It's just to be in as healthy and physical shape as we can be and prepared so that we can do the hard trips. Because we're getting older. You gotta
for
work
yourself.
harder. Okay, you gotta work harder. So
Yeah.
pretty much that. I'm putting health first and definitely still working on the lighter gear. And we've been eyeing trips that are maybe further from home, but I think we have to work up to those. Like, there's so many trips that we could do, right? Like, there's so many exciting trips that people are doing, and you get the bug. You want to go. You want to try it out. So I think, yeah, just being stronger and working on our skills and keep having fun. Like, I mean, we have a blast. So yeah.
Good. Are you guys coming down to any of the shows?
We're hoping to, weather pending.
weather
right?
pending,
So-
we actually have tickets to go to the Hamilton show in January this year.
Yep.
And we're planning to go because we have family in London, which is close. And so yeah, that's our plan. As far as the Toronto show goes, we're not sure. No plan on that just yet. But
Yeah, we just started planning our year
Yeah.
just this weekend. So
Exactly.
we have the dates in our calendar, but we are hoping to get down, weather pending always.
Well, yeah, that's a hike for you guys, and especially if it's all snowing and blowing, and
Yeah.
icy and crap.
Yeah, wintertime, like show season being in the wintertime. Like there's a tiny little show that's run by an outfitter here in Sault Ste. Marie. We went to it 2 years ago, the first year it opened, and we're maybe 500, 650 meters from the space it was held.
And it's end of April.
And it's in the end of April, mind you, and we couldn't get to it by our vehicle. So we had, because the roads were all closed, snow 3 feet high, so we snowshoed to it. So that's like, but that's the end of April, right? So that's what it's like with the lake effect snow here in the Sioux and stuff. And Tyler, we're holding you to that PS.
Oh,
He said we can do a collab video. I will cook and you guys can eat.
oh, okay. That sounds
Yes,
perfect.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yeah, where do
yeah,
I
are you
sign up?
guys are you guys planning on going to some of the shows?
I tend to go to everything that's around here. Doesn't we the winter camping symposiums, whatever. I'm good for all of it. Definitely going to the Hammer Show. Actually, I think Pamela, Thomas, and I are going. Different. I'm going to stay for like 2 days and do a bunch of things. We will go to the Toronto show. I don't know. I think the last couple of years we've done both Saturday, or I've done Saturday and Sunday, and then Thomas did one day with me and Pamela did a day with me. I'm not sure how that's going to play out yet. I'm still waiting to see how work juggles happen. I've got a boatload. I just hit my 15th year anniversary, so the boss has gifted me a bunch of extra vacation. So that's great. But if I'm on vacation, it means somebody else is wrangling their stuff and my stuff. And I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
I hate doing that. My stuff tends to run itself, but if something's going to go for a crap, it's usually when I'm not around. So I hate to kind of do that to them any more than I need to. So I'm still working it out.
But you can just be paid out for that time, yeah?
I don't know because it's a
You
gift.
can just be paid out for that time.
Oh, jeez.
And buy more camping gear.
I could
Buy
buy.
more gear.
Buy more camping
I have to
gear.
buy a Formex T4MX canoe. So
There you go. Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that would be
Royal
enough.
X isn't made anymore.
Yep.
But T4MX is the new Royal X. Apparently, I haven't tried any of the canoes, but we're getting good. A lot of our friends have them now, and they're getting great reviews. So
Yeah, our canoe is like new to us. Ours, it didn't come brand new off the
off the
s-
shelf, yeah,
yeah,
no. But apparently T4MX is a great. It's heavy, but apparently it's really resilient and good. Yeah.
It's a good energy to be at the shows, the outdoor shows, right?
I love it. It's
Yeah.
it's certainly for over the course of the winter. Aside from like you planning all trips and stuff, that's my favorite part of the winter thing is going, checking out the shows, checking out all the vendors, listening to great presentations.
Yeah.
But you also get to like real in life hook up with all the people. Like part of the beauty of doing the podcast is we know so many people now in the outdoor community, and
Yeah.
we've had yaks with them and stuff like that. So there's a bit of a
Camaraderie.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you go and you see them in real life and
Yeah.
you like, just like, hey, how's it going? Great, cool. What are you up to? And it ends up being this sort of a conversation, but
Yeah.
all day long. So it's great.
Yeah, with several different people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
love
we've
it.
had the same experience. We found this community to be so kind and welcoming, and the people are beautiful. We've had people stay at our place now if they're traveling through or further north, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great community. Again, that's why, or part of the reason I'm not worried too much about the changing sort of booking system of the that's on our list. That's on our list.
But the
But
kills, we've talked about it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been on our list for a couple of years, and it hasn't lined up just due to various reasons.
Is this the last year for that show? One of the shows in the U.S. This is the last year for it, I think.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know. I know that,
Maybe Canoecopia?
but I thought Canoecopia was going to continue on. I know that.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe it's not. We did one with Cliff Jacobson recently, and this was his last year presenting, and that Canoecopia was going to be his final presentation. So that's
Okay,
what's in my
maybe.
tiny brain.
Yeah, I might have got it mixed up then too.
Yeah, so it's definitely on our list. With Canoecopia and the Quiet Water Symposium have been definite destinations for us. Things are a little bit different crossing into a border and getting all the tickets and stuff like that, but not much. Not much of a difference. It's closer to go to that than Hamilton or
Yeah,
the Toronto
for
show.
us.
Toronto for us. Yeah. The one in Lansing. Is that Canoecopia? Or is that Quiet
No,
Water?
that's a quiet
Quiet Water. Yeah.
symposium.
So that one's 5 hours. The one in Madison is about 8 hours. So Toronto is like 8, 9 hours. So yeah.
See, it's
Yeah.
20 minutes for us to go to the
Yeah.
Toronto show.
Yeah. And you kind of, you don't have an excuse. You might as well go.
No. I've actually taken public transit to the show.
As you do.
Yeah.
We downloaded Uber for the first time in order to go to the show for the first time.
Yeah, we have Uber.
We have Uber. We don't have Uber in Sault Ste. Marie. The app is useless. But anytime I still get emails from Uber, and it's only because we went to the Toronto Tour Show.
Because you guys flew down last time, right?
Not last time, but the time
The
before.
first
yeah.
time.
Yeah. And we got a crazy deal on some flights to Pearson. So we're like, yeah, we'll just download this app. It's called Uber, Uber. And so we downloaded the app that everybody's had for several decades. And yeah, it was great. Amazing. Yeah.
The one time I've taken Uber, I had to get Thomas to do it because I didn't have it. It's like, oh, can you just order an Uber for me? Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's so easy. It's almost like it encourages travel that's not necessary just because it's so easy. You just hit a button and there's always someone right there. It's crazy.
Yep, and they're everywhere. They're blocking all the parking, they're blocking all the bike lanes, they're pulled into people's driveways, they're parked out on the streets, four ways on. It's like, you guys are nuts. And I used to think
Uber.
taxi drivers were bad. Well, yeah, exactly. I'm a bit of a tree hugger. I bike and transit and that sort of deal, and I have to dodge more Uber drivers than anything
Right.
ever.
Right. Yeah.
Makes me a little bit crazy.
I don't think that's what makes you crazy, but that's evidence of you having gone crazy.
Crazier.
Okay. Good. Love it.
Nice.
Nice. Well, we'll have to go camping with you guys at some point.
Love
We
to.
can meet in the middle neath that old Georgia pine somewhere, in the East Algonquin, even French River or Killarney or somewhere that's halfway. We'll have to do the mathematical equations and then get on it before everything's booked.
Yeah, so that's early February, mid-February, depending on what time of year. But
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
let's absolutely. I have
We'll look at
looking
it.
at a stack of maps. I have all the maps, so I can figure this stuff out.
All right. Good. Yeah, good.
All right,
Perfect.
kids.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. That was cool for a first go around, and I
Love you guys.
didn't screw too much stuff up. So
Aw,
You
thank
didn't
you
screw
so
anything
much
up,
for
man.
having us.
Thanks
funny,
for
we
being
were-
here. Thanks for
yeah,
leaving your
thank you.
cabin to come all the way.
yeah,
back.
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
again, it was that or stay there forever, like Ted Kaczynski.
Oh no.
But yeah, so yeah, it's our pleasure. We appreciate you guys and the work that you guys do and your magnanimity, if that's a word. I don't think it
I
is.
don't think it is.
Yeah,
Magnanimosity.
magnanimity. That's probably closer to the word. Probably still not a word.
I'll
Someone
check with
Google that.
Merriam-Webster, and if it isn't, we'll attribute it to you.
All right, good. Sounds good. And we really look forward to all the beautiful new things that Super Good Camping and that nature affords us in the new year.
Cool.
Cool.
We're looking forward to your stuff. I'm nodding towards the chat. Thank you all for coming and watching. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks, guys. Hopefully we get to see you guys at Hamilton.
Yeah.
In
the weather's
person.
cooperating.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
less than a
all
month.
things being equal, we will absolutely see you guys there. Looking forward to it. And we'll see a few of the other folks in the chat there too. We saw.
We
Tyler's gonna
absolutely
be
will.
there, and-
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Hey, thanks to you guys and thanks to the whole community for just all the beautiful things.
For being its awesome self. You bet.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
Cheers.
Have a great night,
Okay.
everybody.
Have a happy new year.
Thanks.
you. Happy
Everybody
New
else
Year.
too. Good one. Good one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye,
New Year.
everyone.
See you all later. Thank you for coming.